Hey everyone, my name is Wedge, and once again, welcome back to our Best of the Rest series, where we cover all the cards and dragons of Tarkir not spoiled individually. We've gone over white, blue, and black cards, so you know what that means. Let's burn stuff down, shall we? Atarka Efreet is 4 mana for a 5/1 Efreet Shaman with Megamorph costing 3 mana. When it's turn face up, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. This is a great way to showcase Atarka creatures. This Efreet alone gets you most of the way to formidable, especially if you Megamorph it. A 6/2 is nothing to mess with. I think it's perfectly fine for limited. If you have the ability to just leave it face down for a while, you could surprise your opponent and take something huge down with it. Atarka Pummeler is 5 mana for a 4/5 Ogre Warrior with Formidable. As long as creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, you can pay 3 colorless and 2 red. Each creature you control can't be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. This is definitely the formidable version of Bloodshin Rager, and that's perfectly fine with me. I really like it. 5 mana for a 4/5 is real good and limited. The Formidable should be pretty easy to activate since this guy gets you halfway there. It should lead to profitable combat phases. Berserker's Onslaught is 3 colorless and 2 red for an enchantment. Attacking creatures you control have double strike. Wow, isn't this just a powerhouse? I mean, sure, it's really expensive and won't fit into most strategies, but if you have a ton of creatures with a decent amount of power, it's a win condition. I also know a few people who are going to play this in Commander. Countless decks it goes in there. As far as limited is concerned, it is a good card, but again, probably only good in Atarka decks that mass mid-range level creatures. Hardened Berserker is 3 mana for a 3/2 human Berserker. When it attacks, the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less to cast. I really hope they continue to print cards like this. 3 mana for a 3/2 is good enough for combat. You'll trade with most anything at the cost. The best part about this is that you play it on turn 3, attack on turn 4, and then on your second main phase slam a 5-drop. Really cool acceleration for red. Not something you see often anymore. I like it a lot. Kolaghan Aspirin is 2 mana for a 2/1 human warrior. When it becomes blocked by a creature, it deals 1 damage to that creature. Basically, we're looking at a combination of Ashmouth Hound and Somberwald Vigilante. The problem is that there are so many 2/2s running around that 1 damage probably won't help you out all that much. Don't get me wrong, I think it's possible to take down a 3/3 and feel like a champion, but most of the time you aren't going to get that opportunity. Kolaghan Forerunners is 3 mana for a star 3 human Berserker with Trample and Dash costing 3 mana. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control. The card's really weird. If you look at it as simply as possible, you need at least 3 creatures in play to make it a 3/3/4/3 that you can dash for 3. Past that, go nuts. If you can get 5 or 6 creatures into play, this becomes gross. A 6/3 with Trample that you can dash in, just sign me up. If your Kolaghan deck is full of creatures, this is a fine addition. Kolaghan Stormsinger is 1 red mana for a 1/1 human shaman with haste and megamorph costing 1 red. When it's turn face up, target creature gains haste until end of turn. It's nice that the card itself has a cheap casting cost, but I'll almost never want to play it on turn 1. You want to drop this face down and then turn it face up real cheap when you play something much bigger and more dangerous. Granting haste can be very powerful, and with a card like this that can do that on the cheap, it'll assuredly be good. Also, I think that it doesn't lose anything by turning face up. It stays a 2/2, that's something at least. Lose Calm is 4 mana for a sorcery. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. The immediate comparison for this type of card is always Act of Treason. You're paying 1 mana more, but you're getting pseudo evasion, plus the set does have exploit. If you can set up the right synergy, you can take a creature, then exploit it away. It's pretty cool. Other than that, though, I've never been a huge fan of Act of Treason type cards, so I'll probably pass on this most of the time. Kalsisma Behemoth is 3 mana for a 5/5 Ogre Warrior. It can't attack or block unless you pay 2 colorless. There are a couple things going on here. You can either look at this card as a cheap, formidable enabler or a great aggressive card. It either sits there and doesn't do much, or you play it on turn 3, then attack with a 5/5 on turn 4 and play something small. Either way, I really like it. I'd probably put it in any limited deck I'm playing running red. Don't let the drawback hold you back. This is still a great card. Sabertooth Outrider is 4 mana for a 4/2 human warrior with Trample and Formidable. If creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, whenever the Outrider attacks, it gains first strike until end of turn. This is a great example of formidable at work. The card is not that great without First Strike. A 4-2 for 4 is nothing to write home about. With First Strike, becomes a powerhouse. I'm not the biggest fan of the card itself. I feel that it'll end up just sitting on the field if you can't enable Formidable, but if you have a sick deck that just has Formidable by default somehow, this should be a staple in that because 4 First Strike damage is real hard to beat. Sarkhan's Rage is 5 mana for an instant. It deals 5 damage to target creature or player. If you control no dragons, it deals 2 damage to you. Getting hit in the face for 2 does hurt, but it's well worth it. This is limited we're talking about. Removal is king here. 5 damage is going to kill the vast majority of the format, and that makes the shock to the face worth it. Not much else needs to be said, just burn someone's face off. Scream Reach Brawler is 3 mana for a 2/3 Orc Berserker with dash costing 2 mana. I think the Brawler is a decent dash card. You're talking about a creature that can dash in, take down a morph creature that blocks it, and do it all over again next turn. Now the card is pretty expensive, which is unfortunate, but at least it has 3 toughness. It's not the most exciting card ever, but it could be worse. Seismic Rupture is 3 mana for a sorcery. It deals 2 damage to each creature without flying. Well, aren't you just the most adorable morph board wipe ever? I really like this card. It doesn't hit flyers, but I honestly don't care all that much. If you're behind on board and your opponent is playing annoying cards, especially the little tentacle orb dudes, this is going to create so much value by wiping a lot of stuff. I'm not sure if it's amazing, but I feel like it really is. Tail Slash is 3 mana for an instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Alright, this might be my favorite removal spell. I love that it's instant speed. I love that your opponent's creature doesn't get to hit you back. I love that it's reasonably costed. A straight red removal spell for Tarkir players. Enjoy a one-sided fight card, I know I will. Twin Bolt is 2 mana for an instant. It deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 target creatures and or players. It deals 2 damage for 2 mana at instant speed. Kills morph creatures. It's really all you need to say about it for me to like it, so I'm good. Seriously, I'm pretty easy to please. Volcanic Rush is 5 mana for an instant. Attacking creatures get +2/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. This is a weird combat trick. We're talking about an all-in type of card. I'm not sure where I'd want to use this, either with a bunch of big creatures in a Tarkir or a bunch of small ones in Kolaghan. I honestly don't know. I think the safest bet is probably to avoid playing it unless you know for sure that you can make it work and it won't be dead in your hand the entire game. Just saying, dead cards in Limited hurt a lot. Volcanic Vision is 5 colorless and 2 red for a sorcery. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Volcanic Vision deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to each creature your opponent controls. Exile Volcanic Vision. Holy butts! This is a 7 mana card I can get behind. If you have an instant or sorcery, even at just 4 mana, this is going to be a one-sided board wipe for days. This is serious win condition and a total bomb in Limited. Easily first pickable, easily. The thing's nasty. That does it for the rest of the red cards and Dragons of Tarkir that we felt like talking about. I have to say, red is really stepping up their game. The amount of removal in this color is pretty ridiculous. Some of the creatures are lacking a bit, but you gotta sacrifice somewhere, you know? Anyways, what do you think about red? Strong color, support color? Let me know what you think and we'll talk about it. As always, subscribe below for the latest and most reliable Dragons of Tarkir spoiler information you could ever need. This is the Manosaurus, I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.
What?